The email popped up on my laptop screen, each word slicing through 5 years of loyalty like a knife. Clear your desk by noon, Lucas. HR will handle your exit paperwork. My breath caught, the office air suddenly stifling. I'm Lucas Bennett, 32, and I'd poured my heart into PeakPulse Transportation, a mid-sized logistics company in Spokane, Washington. 3 days. That's all I took off to handle my dad's funeral. 3 days of officially approved bereavement leave. We need people who prioritize work, the email went on, as if attending my father's funeral was some optional event instead of a sacred duty. I leaned back in my chair, the leather creaking in the quiet of the early morning. The Spokane office was still empty, the sky outside just cracking with dawn. I'd come in early, eager to catch up after my absence. Until 5 minutes ago, I was the regional team lead for PeakPulse's top-performing division. At 32, I wasn't just building a career. I was building a team that felt like family. We celebrated birthdays, supported each other through tough times, and pushed each other to grow. I glanced around my workspace, a small cactus my team gave me for Christmas, a photo from our team-building trip at Lake Coeur d'Alene, handwritten thank you cards from colleagues I'd mentored. 5 years of my life, now reduced to a few personal items that had fit in a cardboard box. The termination notice attached to the email was signed by Carl Dempsey, my direct boss, the same guy who approved my funeral leave last week. Failure to maintain full presence during critical operational periods, it read. My dad's death fell during this undefined, critical period. I didn't cry. I didn't slam my fist on the desk or storm Carl's office demanding answers. Instead, I grabbed my phone, snapped a picture of the email, and forwarded it to my personal account. I shut down my computer, stood, and started packing. By the time other employees trickled in, my desk was half empty. Sarah from accounting noticed first. "Lucas, what's going on?" she asked, eyes wide as she saw the box. "I got fired," I said flatly. "What? Why?" "Apparently, taking bereavement leave to bury my dad isn't the right work priority." Sarah's face shifted from shock to outrage. "That's completely wrong. Have you talked to Ellen? The regional manager needs to know." "Not yet," I said, wrapping the cactus in newspaper. "I'm not here to fight, but I'm not forgetting either. You learn to read people's faces after years in an office." As I packed, my team started showing up. Jake, my direct report, heard the news first, his usual grin fading. "This is a joke, right?" he said, but I cut him off with a headshake. "It's done, Jake. Carl's call. But we just closed the Redmond merger. This quarter's profits are up 20% because of you." I gave a sad smile. Guess that wasn't enough. By 9:30, 7 core members of my team stood around my desk, silent but united. Ethan, our stoic logistics guy, looked like he wanted to punch a wall. Mia, our client relations manager, wiped away tears. Behind them were Ryan, Chloe, Natalie, Sophia, and Kayla, their expressions ranging from disbelief to anger. "You can't leave," Mia insisted. "The Larson contract renewal is next week. The Martinez shipping deal is mid-negotiation. No one knows the system like you." I taped up the box. Carl should have thought of that before firing me for attending my dad's funeral. My words hung heavy. My dad passed away last week. The dirt on his grave was still fresh. Now, this betrayal from the company I'd given everything to. "Back to your desks," a sharp voice cut through. Carl Dempsey stood with his arms crossed, his gaunt face pinched with displeasure. "We've got deadlines?" Nobody moved. "Now!" he snapped. After a long moment, my team dispersed, each giving me a meaningful look. Carl stepped closer, lowering his voice. This could have been quieter if you waited until end of day. I met his eyes. Quiet like how you fired me over email after approving my leave? His jaw tightened. Business needs shift fast. PeakPulse needs people who get that. Your dad's passing was unfortunate, but don't, I warned, my voice low and dangerous. Don't finish that sentence, Carl. A flicker of hesitation crossed his face. He straightened, adjusted his tie. HR's waiting. Don't make this messy. I grabbed my box. Don't worry, I'm not causing a scene. But remember this moment, Carl. It might matter later. HR was cold. White walls, minimal decor, and Karen Brooks' calculated empathy. She was new, 6 months in, clearly uncomfortable. I'm so sorry about this, Lucas, she said, sliding termination papers across the desk. And about your dad. Thanks, I replied, skimming the documents. Severance package, 2 weeks' pay, a non-disparagement clause, and a reminder of my non-compete agreement barring me from working for competitors for 6 months. Anything I should know about the reasoning? Karen asked cautiously. I considered, then told the truth. I showed her the email. 3 days of approved bereavement leave, and I'm fired for not prioritizing work. Karen's professional mask slipped, her eyes widening. This is the official notice? Just an email? No performance improvement plan? No warning? Nope, nothing. She frowned, jotting notes. I need to verify with legal. Can you wait? As she stepped out, I gazed through the window at the Spokane River winding through the city. My dad loved fishing that river, teaching me patience as water rushed past our knees. The river moves, Lucas, he'd say. But the rock stands firm. Be the rock. Karen returned, her neutral expression and forced smile saying it all. Nothing changed. I'm sorry, Washington's an at-will state, she said. The company has the right. I get it, I cut in, signing the papers without a fight. PeakPulse can do what it wants. So can I. She hesitated, lowering her voice. Off the record, this isn't right. If you want to sue, no, I said firmly, but thanks. As I walked out through the office, I felt eyes on me. My team watched silently, their faces grim. I gave a small smile, my final act as their leader. Outside, the September air was warm. I loaded the box into my trunk, slid into the driver's seat, and let myself process. My phone pinged. Jake. This is wrong. What do we do? Mia. You okay? Can we meet tonight? Ethan. Carl's a coward. The team's pissed. More texts flooded in. Outrage, support, loyalty. They weren't just colleagues. They were my work family. I started the car, a plan forming. I wouldn't fight PeakPulse head on. No lawsuit, though I had grounds. I'd be strategic, patient, like my dad taught me. The rock stands firm as the river flows. My phone rang as I sat in the car, the Spokane River glinting under the September sun. It was Tom Whitaker, CEO of Apex Transatron, PeakPulse's biggest competitor. We'd met at an industry conference in Seattle last year, where I presented on supply chain optimization. Tom was impressed, stayed in touch, and for months, he'd been trying to recruit me to Apex. I'd always said no, loyal to PeakPulse. But now, after Carl's cold email, it was time to answer. I took a deep breath and hit accept. Lucas, you finally called. Tom's warm, slightly teasing voice came through. Heard you had a rough day at PeakPulse? News travels fast in logistics. Just a small misunderstanding about priorities, I said, keeping my tone even. They thought attending my dad's funeral was a lack of commitment. Silence for a beat. That's not a misunderstanding. Tom said, serious now. That's wrong. Tell me. I gave him the short version, 3 days of approved leave, the termination email, the vague critical operations excuse. I sent him the email screenshot. He read it, sighed. This isn't just bad management, Lucas. It's inhumane. Bereavement leave is a valid reason. PeakPulse always puts profit over people, but I didn't think they'd stoop this low. I nodded, though he couldn't see. Neither did I. 5 years of dedication, and this is their response. Tom shifted gears. You know I want you at Apex. What about now? Ready for a change? I hesitated. I'm considering it, but I need details. Tom invited me to Apex's office that afternoon. I drove through downtown Spokane, a mix of hurt and hope swirling inside. Apex's office was a stark contrast to PeakPulse. Open layout, collaborative desks, huge windows with a view of the city skyline. Employees chatted animatedly, the vibe buzzing with energy. Tom greeted me in the lobby, his handshake firm. He was burly, silver-bearded, with hawk-sharp eyes. Welcome to the future, he grinned, leading me to a conference room. We sat, and Tom got to the point. Apex is expanding in the Pacific Northwest. We need someone like you, someone who knows the industry, builds teams, drives results. The regional director role is yours if you want it. My pulse quickened. Regional director was a big step up, more responsibility, more authority, and a salary that dwarfed PeakPulse's. What's the scope? I asked. He laid it out, overseeing supply chains, managing a 50-person team, expanding client contracts. You did great work at PeakPulse with limited resources, he said. Here, you'll have a bigger budget, a strong legal team, and a culture that puts people first. I nodded, but stayed cautious. What about my non-compete? 6 months, no working for competitors within 300 miles. Tom smirked. Our legal team reviewed it. It's overly broad, hard to enforce, especially since PeakPulse fired you without cause. We'll cover legal costs if they try anything. I raised an eyebrow. You doubt us? Tom laughed. Apex plays to win, Lucas. You're in, we've got your back. I felt the opportunity unfolding but needed time. I'll think it over by the weekend, I said. Fair enough, Tom replied. Monday we'll talk details, but I know you'll make the right call. Leaving the office, I felt lighter. Apex wasn't just a job, it was a chance to rebuild better. That night, I met Mia and Jake at a small brewery on Spokane's outskirts, away from PeakPulse eyes. They arrived, their faces a mix of anger and worry. How you holding up? Mia asked, sliding into the booth. I'm okay, I reassured them. Tough week, but I'll get through. Jake snorted. Carl's an idiot. The office is chaos. No one knows where the Henderson files are, and your system access hasn't been reassigned. That's Carl's problem, I said, sipping my drink. Mia leaned in. It's more than that. People are talking, not just our team. They're pissed about how you were treated. I was surprised. You're respected, Lucas, Jake said. The way Carl handled this, people are scared. If they did that to you, the best team lead, who's safe? Mia nodded. Ellen's been asking questions. The regional manager's worried. Good, I said. Texts from other colleagues came in. Chaos, frustration, anger at management. PeakPulse was feeling my absence. What's your next move? Jake asked. I hesitated. Apex offered me regional director. Their eyes widened. But your non-compete, Mia started. It might not hold, I said, especially with a wrongful termination. Jake's phone buzzed. He checked it, frowned. Carl called an emergency meeting tomorrow, Saturday. Never done that before. The Larson contract's due Monday, Mia explained. No one can find your analysis files. I smirked. The files were on the server, but my organizational system wasn't intuitive to outsiders. I hadn't meant to cause trouble, but it felt satisfying. I'm out, I said, gathering my things. See you tomorrow. Jake looked at me. Lucas, if you go to Apex, hypothetically, are they hiring? I paused, reading him. Hypothetically, yes. They're expanding fast. Driving home, I thought of my dad. The rock stands firm, he'd said. I wouldn't rush. I'd choose right, not just for me, but for my team. Saturday morning, I sat in the sleek office of Vanessa Torres, an employment lawyer recommended by a friend. Yale and Stanford degrees hung on the wall, but Vanessa was down to earth, all business. I explained the firing, showed her Carl's email and notice. This is textbook wrongful termination, she said, removing her glasses, frowning. Firing you for approved bereavement leave breaches contract and good faith. You could sue. I don't want to sue, I clarified. Just need to understand my options with the non-compete. She reviewed the agreement, flipping pages. It's overly restrictive. 6 months, no competitors within 300 miles, practically tells you to leave the industry or move. Is it enforceable? I asked. In Washington, it's questionable, she said, especially given the termination circumstances. Courts don't enforce when the employer acts in bad faith, like firing without cause after approving leave. She leaned back. You've got a strong case if PeakPulse tries anything. What's your plan? Apex offered regional director. Better title, higher pay. Vanessa nodded. PeakPulse would have to prove you caused real harm. Since they fired you, that's a tough argument. She scribbled notes. Be cautious, but don't let the non-compete stop you from earning a living. If Apex has a solid legal team, let them handle it. I nodded. They said they'd cover legal costs if sued. Vanessa smiled. Good. Sounds like a company that knows how to play. Move forward, but keep records, email, notice, leave approval. If PeakPulse pushes, we've got ammunition. I thanked her and left with clarity. The non-compete wasn't the barrier I'd feared. Over the weekend, my phone buzzed with texts from my old team. Carl's Saturday emergency meeting was a disaster. He pressured everyone to take on extra duties to cover my absence. No pay bump. Carl's panicking, Jake texted. Asked everyone about the Larson files, but no one gets your system. 20 others buzzed with texts from my old team. Carl's Saturday emergency meeting was a disaster. He pressured everyone to take on extra duties to cover my absence. No pay bump. Carl's panicking, Jake texted. Asked everyone about the Larson files, but no one gets your system. Mia added, Larson's client called, wants you to handle it. Carl's sweating. I grinned. The files were on the server, but my structure was complex to outsiders. I hadn't meant to cause chaos, but I wasn't surprised Carl was stumbling. Another text from Ethan. Office is a war zone. People are talking about you, furious at Carl. The chaos confirmed it. PeakPulse underestimated my value and my team's. Sunday night, I sat by the Spokane River, where my dad and I used to fish. I thought of him, his words. The rock stands firm, Lucas. Don't let the river sweep you away. I didn't want revenge through lawsuits or public shaming. I wanted to build something better, where employees were valued, clients were happy. Apex was that chance. Monday morning, I called Tom Whitaker. I'm in, I said, but I've got conditions. Name them, Tom replied. I want to build a team. If my old colleagues from PeakPulse apply, I want them considered fairly. Tom chuckled. Done. If they're half as good as you, we're lucky. Who do you want? I don't know yet, I said, but I want the option to choose the right people. You got it, Tom said. Welcome to Apex, Regional Director. That afternoon, I signed the contract at Apex's office. The salary was 40% higher than PeakPulse, with better benefits and a signing bonus. As I signed, I felt a new chapter begin. Not just a job, a chance to shape the future. Leaving the office, I checked my phone. 7 texts, each from a member of my old team. Jake, Mia, Ethan, Chloe, Natalie, Sophia, Kayla. They wanted to meet for coffee, one-on-one. I smiled, unsurprised. My team wasn't just colleagues. They were my work family, bound by loyalty and respect. They sensed the shift like I did. I texted back, setting a meeting for tomorrow morning at a small downtown Spokane coffee shop. Driving home, I thought of my dad. He taught me patience, but also to seize the moment when it came. Apex was that moment, not just for me, but for my team. I wouldn't rush, but I'd lead with vision, building a place that was fair, human, and better than PeakPulse ever was. That night, I slept soundly for the first time in weeks. The river kept flowing, but I stood firm, ready for the next chapter. I knew my team would follow, and together we'd build something special. Tuesday morning, I sat in a quiet corner of the downtown Spokane coffee shop, a steaming coffee in front of me. I arrived early, wanting to prep mentally. Jake showed up first, denim jacket on, a strained smile. Mia came right after, hair tied high, eyes determined. One by one, Ethan, Chloe, Natalie, Sophia, and Kayla joined, until we took up 2 tables pushed together. The air was heavy, not with tension, but with a shared sense. We were at a turning point. PeakPulse is falling apart, Ethan started, voice low. Carl's micromanaging everyone. Ellen's cracking down and clients are asking why you're not leading anymore. Mia nodded. The Larson contract's next week. They called me directly asking where you were. Carl can't answer. I sipped my coffee, listening. Chloe chimed in. Saturday, Carl called that emergency meeting, demanded overtime, no extra pay. Nobody wants to, but they're scared of losing their jobs. Natalie added. Other departments are restless too. They heard about your firing, started questioning policies. The chaos at PeakPulse didn't shock me. Carl underestimated my value and my team's, thinking we were replaceable. But the systems I built, from file organization to client relationships, were the product of 5 years' dedication. No one could step in cold. Martinez's clients aren't happy either, Sophia said. They want you on their shipping contract. I nodded, letting them vent. Finally, Jake looked me in the eye. We heard you took the regional director gig at Apex. The others went quiet, eyes locked on me. News travels fast, I said, a slight smile. Mia leaned forward, voice firm. We want to come with you, Lucas. The others nodded, resolute. I studied their faces, anger, determination, loyalty. You've got good roles at PeakPulse, I said. Stable jobs, decent pay. You sure you want to risk that? Chloe gave a bitter laugh. Stable? If they fire you for attending your dad's funeral, nobody's safe. Ethan agreed. Carl doesn't care about us. Just numbers. We don't want to work for someone like that. Kayla, usually quiet, spoke up. You always had our backs, Lucas. You built this team. We're with you. Her words were simple but weighty. I felt gratitude, mixed with responsibility. Apex is hiring, I said carefully. I can't promise anything, but I can put in a word. You'll need to apply formally, interview like anyone else. Sophia grinned, pulling out a stack of papers. We already did. All 7 of us, yesterday. She showed email confirmations from Apex. Applications sent, waiting on interviews. I was stunned, then laughed. You applied before talking to me? Jake shrugged. We trust you. Where you go, we follow. Mia added, Apex sounds like a place we can grow, not get punished for being human. Her words hit me. That's why I chose Apex, to build a place where people mattered. I took a deep breath. I'll call Tom Whitaker. Make sure you get a fair shot. But you've got to prove yourselves. Apex doesn't hire just because I know you. Ethan nodded. We're ready. Just give us the chance. The others agreed, their eyes burning with resolve. As the coffee cooled, we talked about the future. Jake wanted to lead bigger projects. Mia dreamed of revolutionizing client relations. Ethan aimed to optimize supply chains. Each had ambitions, and I realized, at PeakPulse they were held back. At Apex, they could shine. I felt a duty not just to lead, but to pave the way for them. We'll make it happen, I said, looking around the table. But we do it right. Apex is a fresh start, but it's also a challenge. You in? They nodded, no hesitation. As we left, I called Tom. My 7 former colleagues applied, I said. They're the best I've ever worked with. Tom laughed. I figured their resumes are stellar, interviews are Wednesday. Want to sit in on the selection? No, I said. I want it fair. Judge them like any candidate. You're a true leader, Tom said. But I'd bet all 7 get offers. That night, I stood by the Spokane River, thinking of my dad. He taught me leadership isn't control, it's empowerment. My team trusted me, not because of a title, but because I believed in them. The river flowed, but we stood firm, ready to build a future together. 2 days later, Karen Brooks from PeakPulse's HR called, her voice hushed like she was sharing a secret. I shouldn't say this, Lucas, but Carl Dempsey's been suspended pending review. Ellen launched an investigation into management policies, especially bereavement leave and time-off practices. I stood by the window of my new Apex office, the Spokane River sparkling under the morning sun. Good, I said, a sense of justice settling in. Karen went on, cautious. The board's involved. Losing your entire core team to Apex raised red flags. They're reviewing every termination from the past year, digging for causes. Word spreading in the industry. And your story, how PeakPulse handled it, is being talked about everywhere. I hadn't spread details, but when asked, I told the truth. Fired for taking 3 days of approved funeral leave. The truth spread itself. I felt a warmth, not gloating, but validation. PeakPulse didn't just lose me. They lost their employees' trust and their industry reputation. Ellen's under heavy pressure, Karen said. Clients like Larson and Martinez are asking why you're not leading. They're unhappy with the replacements. I smiled faintly. My organizational system, though stored on the server, wasn't easy for strangers to navigate. Carl hadn't anticipated that. Thanks for the heads up, Karen, I said. I appreciate it. She hesitated. Off the record, Lucas, a lot of people here are furious about how you were treated. Not just your team. Other departments are questioning company policies. I nodded, though she couldn't see. Hope the investigation brings positive change. Hanging up, I sat at my desk, checking emails. One from Tom Whitaker. Your 7 former colleagues' interviews are scheduled. Their resumes are top-notch. With them, your region will be unstoppable. I replied, thanking him for the fair chance. Deep down, I knew this wasn't just a chance for my team. It was a chance to build something better than PeakPulse. a place where people were valued. By Friday, all 7 of my former team, Jake, Mia, Ethan, Chloe, Natalie, Sophia, Kayla, received and accepted offers from Apex. I hosted a dinner at a cozy Spokane restaurant, the golden glow of the lights creating a warm vibe. We raised glasses, laughed loudly, feeling like a family reunited after a storm. "To new beginnings," Mia said, her eyes shining. Jake added, his voice warm, "And to Lucas, who showed us what real leadership looks like." I looked around the table, gratitude swelling. These people didn't follow me just for jobs. They believed in the vision I was building. A workplace that was fair, human. "I'm not saying it'll be easy," I said, raising my glass. "But at Apex, we've got a shot to make a difference." They nodded, their eyes fierce with determination. The next week, I got a formal letter from PeakPulse, admitting my termination was mishandled and offering a settlement to avoid litigation. I read it, feeling relief mixed with validation. Not for the money, though it was substantial, but for the public acknowledgement. I signed the agreement, not to end things, but to close that chapter with dignity. That same day, the Larson contract signed with Apex. They chose us after learning the team they trusted, led by me, was now here. I got an email from Larson's director, thanking me for professionalism and commitment. "We followed you because you understand people's value," he wrote. I saved the email, a reminder of why I do this. That night I stood by the Spokane River, where my dad and I used to fish. The September breeze was cool, but I felt warmth from what we'd achieved. Justice wasn't destroying PeakPulse. It was letting their actions expose them. Carl might not have seen the fallout coming, but logistics is a small world. His reputation, and PeakPulse's, was paying the price. I thought of my dad, who taught me to be patient like a rock in the river. "Don't rush to react, Lucas," he'd said. "Let time do its work." He was right. The river carried PeakPulse's mistakes away, but my team and I stood firm, ready to build our future. 3 months later, I stood in Apex's largest conference room, presenting quarterly results to the executive board. The screen showed the numbers. 30% growth in my region, 4 new major clients, 3 from PeakPulse, and a 22% cost efficiency improvement. I explained the strategy, restructured processes, empowered teams, prioritized client relationships. The board sat silent, nodding, their eyes impressed. "Outstanding, Lucas," Tom Whitaker said as I finished. "You and your team exceeded every projection. The Northwest region's now the benchmark for the whole company." I smiled. My team deserves the credit. They've worked tirelessly to deliver these results. I meant it. Jake, Mia, Ethan, Chloe, Natalie, Sophia, and Kayla poured their energy and creativity into every task. After the meeting, I returned to my office to find my team waiting with a cake. "What's this?" I asked, laughing. "It's been exactly 3 months since we jumped ship," Jake explained. "Our Independence Day anniversary." I shook my head, feigning exasperation, but my heart was full. "You guys are ridiculous, but I'm glad." Mia cut the cake, saying, "Seriously, Lucas, everyone's thriving here." She was right. Jake was leading major projects, more confident than ever. Mia revolutionized client relations, setting new standards. Ethan optimized supply chains, saving millions. Chloe, Natalie, Sophia, and Kayla were shining, their talents finally recognized. At Apex, they weren't just employees. They were valued assets. We ate cake, joking around, but I saw the bigger picture. We'd built the culture PeakPulse lacked. Here, employees were heard, Ideas were valued and bereavement leave wasn't seen as weakness. I was proud, not just of the numbers, but of this team, my work family. My phone buzzed with a news alert. PeakPulse restructures amid client exodus. I showed the team. Heard they lost the Martinez contract, Ethan said, munching cake. 20% of their Northwest revenue. Chloe added, Carl's gone. Cleared his office Friday. I didn't relish PeakPulse's struggles, just felt justice. They didn't fail because we left. They failed because their culture treated people as disposable. I raised my water glass. To PeakPulse learning that a company's only as strong as how it treats its people. Sophia chimed in. And to Lucas, who showed us we're worth more. The team laughed, clinking glasses, the room alive with unity. The next week, I got an internal Apex report. My region had the company's highest employee satisfaction score. Staff felt empowered, supported, and valued. I sent a team-wide email thanking them, emphasizing this was their victory. Mia replied, You created the environment for us to shine. That's the difference. Our success rippled beyond Apex. At an industry conference in Seattle, I met directors from other firms, asking about my switch from PeakPulse. Your story's inspiring, one said. You built a loyal team and they followed you. That's real leadership. I thanked him, but corrected, not me. My team. I thought of my dad, who taught me the value of patience and integrity. At Apex, I applied his lessons. Build slowly, sustainably, put people first. The results, growth, new clients, a happy team, proved him right. Success isn't just numbers. It's creating a place where people feel valued. The following month, Apex named my region Unit of Excellence, awarding bonuses to the whole team. We threw a modest but meaningful party. Watching my team laugh and connect, I knew this was true success. Not just hitting KPIs, but building a place where employees grew, felt respected, and took pride. That night, I drove to the Spokane River. Standing on the bank where my dad and I fished. The water flowed steadily, moonlight dancing on its surface. I whispered, Dad, we did it. Our success wasn't just a personal win. It was proof that doing right, even when it's hard, leads to good. 6 months after joining Apex, I got a lunch invite from Ellen Harper, now a former PeakPulse regional manager turned organizational culture consultant. We met at a quiet restaurant overlooking the Spokane River. Ellen looked relaxed, the stress lines around her eyes softened. Thanks for meeting, she began. I owe you a proper apology for what happened. You weren't directly responsible, I pointed out. No, but I enabled an environment where it could, she sighed. After you and your team left, PeakPulse imploded. The board hired outside consultants to assess the damage. Their report ripped into the entire leadership, including me. I nodded, waiting. PeakPulse was acquired by Meridian Shipping, Ellen revealed, at a fraction of its prior valuation. They just wanted the client list and assets. No surprise there. PeakPulse had been bleeding clients and talent for months. What about Carl? I asked. Unemployed, she said. His reputation in the industry's shot. Your story, how you were fired, spread everywhere. I didn't spread it, but I didn't hide it. When asked, I told the truth. Fired for taking approved funeral leave. The truth took care of itself. I learned a hard lesson, Ellen said. Now I help companies avoid those mistakes. Culture matters more than short-term profits. I nodded. Hope you make a difference. She smiled faintly. You already have, Lucas. Your team at Apex is proof. As lunch wrapped up, Ellen asked, was it worth it, walking away quietly instead of fighting? I thought of my Apex team, thriving, empowered, respected. Of clients who followed us, getting better service. Of my dad, who taught me the strongest response isn't the loudest. Worth it, I said. The results speak for themselves. A year after that fateful email, Apex promoted me to Vice President of Northwest Operations. My region became the company's crown jewel, efficient, innovative, with the highest employee satisfaction. All 7 of my original team members earned promotions. Jake now runs his own region, commanding like a general. Mia transformed client relations, earning industry accolades. Ethan, Chloe, Natalie, Sophia, and Kayla shine, their talents finally valued. On the 1-year anniversary of my firing, I received a small package in the mail. Inside was my old cactus, now bigger, thriving, with a note from Karen Brooks. Saved this from your desk. Thought you'd want it back. PeakPulse shuts down next week. I set the cactus on my windowsill, where it caught the light. Like me, it had survived and found a better place. That evening, I visited the Spokane River, standing on the bank where my dad and I fished. The water swirled around the rocks, same as always. I thought of the cold email that ended my job, leading to greater success, not just for me, but for everyone who followed me. You were right, Dad, I whispered. Stand firm. Let the current do the work. My revenge wasn't destroying PeakPulse. It was building something better. A place where funeral leave isn't seen as a lack of commitment, where people are valued beyond their output, where leadership means empowering others. My dad would be proud. Looking back, I'm grateful for the journey, even the pain. That termination email was a blow, but also a gift. It taught me the worst moments can lead to the best outcomes if you stay true. At Apex, I didn't just build a career. I built a legacy, a place where employees feel valued, clients trust us, and leadership puts people first. Looking forward, I see endless potential. My team keeps growing, our region's expanding, and I'm committed to preserving this culture. Every day, I carry my dad's lesson. Do right, even when it's hard, and lasting success follows. The river flows, but the rock stands firm. We'll keep standing firm, building a better future. Lucas Bennett's story is a testament to the power of resilience and integrity. When unfairly fired for taking bereavement leave, Lucas didn't lash out with anger or lawsuits. He chose patience like a rock in the river, letting time and his actions prove his worth. His lesson: justice doesn't need to be loud. By building a loyal team and a humane culture at Apex, Lucas achieved personal success and created a place where employees thrive and clients trust. He showed that a company's strength lies in valuing its people, not just its profits. Lucas's journey reminds us, the worst moments can lead to the best outcomes if you stay resilient, hold your values, and let time work its magic. The greatest revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you, it's building something that makes their system obsolete. That's the legacy of true leadership, a lesson in patience, humanity, and the strength to stand firm amid the current of change.